Hey y'all, so today I wanted to do a video on passing my National Marriage and Family Therapy exam. If you're new to my channel, my name is Bridget Reed. I'm a Marriage and Family Therapist Associate and I just passed my licensing exam. I am so excited because the next step is finishing my hours and then I'll have full licensure. If you don't know about the process, I'll explain that in a little bit. But the goal of this video is to talk about preparing to take the marriage and family therapy exam. I think it's one of the harder exams out of all of the LPC, LCSW. The LMFT is one of the harder exams from what I'm told. And so preparing for it was essential. Now, I'm somebody that needs all the help they can get. I have really bad test anxiety. So if you're like me and you also have test anxiety, then this video is definitely for you. So just to give you context, I graduated from my program in May of 2023. I graduated from my marriage and family therapy program. And right before I graduated, I wanted to graduate, take my exam, get it out the way, and be going full force ahead. And that was the plan. But I did my internship at a domestic violence shelter. I was finishing my degree at the same time I was working at the domestic violence shelter, and I decided for some strange reason, because I'm me and I tend to put too much on my plate, but I decided to also start studying for the MFT exam. I used the AATBS exam prep. Let me just get it the exact name here for you guys so y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's the one that uses they're supposed to use some type of behavioral background for you. It's called the AATBS. It's called AATBS exam prep. You can do social work, you can do MFT, LPC, a lot of different exam preps are on this site, and it's supposed to be like highly sought after. So I got a review from another YouTuber that this is a great platform to use. So I signed up for it, did all the work. So this particular platform, you can download the digital version, which that's the kind I got. I got the digital version because I needed something that I could use on multiple platforms. I'm always like, as long as I can pull it up on my phone, I can pull it up on my computer, my iPad. Like that's what I needed. Definitely be with me moving around a lot. So I signed up for AATBS. I got, the digital package, which, you can get the downloadable book on there. They get all of their materials are downloadable. You take a pretest, like a 50 test pretest, to kind of find out where you're at and what you need to work on. And then they have like all these study materials like digital flashcards. They have the book that you need to study. And then I had 10 mock exams, and they had flashcards. And so I spent my time on the flashcards a little bit. I spent my time in the book, but I did a lot of the mock exam. So I spent my time, going through every mock exam. Each mock exam is like 180 questions. So I studied for the exam, and the exam was like in the end of May. So I, went ahead, did everything I had to do. Remember, I had graduated. I had a lot on my plate at that time, finished my hours at the domestic violence shelter, just did all this stuff. And then I graduated, and like a couple of days before the exam, I got sick. And again, test anxiety comes up in me by like my allergies and me just getting really sick. And so that's exactly what happened. 4 days before the exam, I got sick. And instead of me going to the doctor, I was still studying. So all my focus was on studying instead of going to the doctor. Hindsight 2020, I should have just went to the doctor first. But anyway, I was so focused on studying that I was just pressing through my cold and my sickness. So that night of the exam, I actually did not sleep very much. I think I had maybe an hour and a half of sleep. So I ended up having to get Red Bull just to have energy to drive. That's another thing. I had to drive to the location it wasn't local, because I guess when I signed up for my exam, all the local spots are already taken. So I had to go to the furthest one, or the closest one was Waco, which was like an hour and a half away from Dallas, which that was a whole nother thing. So not only was I sick, not only did I only have an hour and a half, I had to drive also to get like really far to get there. So I had to wake up really early in the morning. And me on Red Bull is not, that's not the best testing mindset. It just gives me a lot of energy. And so I had those things counted against me. But that's what I did. I, took the exam, woke up the next day, took the exam, and knew that I wasn't going to do well. I already had a feeling like this, I ain't going to do well, but it's too late to cancel. You can cancel, I think, up to 48 to 72 hours before. So I had already passed that. So I was like, instead of just wasting this whole thing, I'm going to do the best I can, and hopefully maybe I'll pass. I don't know, but I got a strong feeling I wasn't. And I kind of knew, when you know, like when you're ready and when you're not ready. So I kind of knew. So I went to the exam and did the best I could, took the test, and then came home. Therapist Development Center, the way she does it is that first of all, she studies people. That was one of her things that she studied. The girl that created it, she studied people and like taking exams and like the psychology behind it. She has a lot of science behind what she does. But the reason why I liked her better is because she lectures you through the content and talks you through it. And it's an audio learning experience as well as like writing it down. So it felt more like I was going to a class that, almost like a lecture class, and I had to take notes rather than reading it in a book, like definitely digital. And if I had to choose between listening and reading something, or for that type of memory recall, for me, listening to it and writing it down and then going back and reading what I wrote down gave me better memory recall. I remember listening to everything she said and thinking, whew, I feel so much more confident this time around. And I was still going through the whole thing. I went through her whole thing. I was like, oh my goodness, I feel great. And so she has 2 mock exams because she doesn't believe you need 10 mock exams. She actually thinks the more mock exams you do, it starts to have a countereffective effect on the person taking the real exam. Now, the AATBS, they do give you rationales for why you got something right or wrong. So I did like that part of it. But to be honest with you, the majority of my time was spent with the mock exams. It was not spent with the flashcards. I went through them and was like, okay, I looked at the book, but again, I realized I'm not really good with like digital books and trying to like recall content. Like it was just like not sitting with me. I'm like, I'm not recalling. This is not sitting with me. And what actually sat with me was going through the mock exams and then hearing the recall, seeing like, why did you get this wrong? Why did you get this right? That helped me, right? So when I actually went to the Therapist Development Center, I had already had some foundational things, but looking back, if I would have just had hers, I would have been well prepared for the exam. So if I had to choose based on the type of person I am on AATBS or the therapy, like which one do you, because both of them cost like over $300 for the full exam prep. If I had to choose which one I would do, I would choose the Therapist Development Center. Her format, her way of walking you through it, the mock exams. Actually, you go through the whole mock exams. It'll tell you which one she got right and wrong. So she tells you which ones you got right or wrong. You listen to her, and then she tells you why you got that right or wrong, and like literally goes through every single answer and why one is right and how this one is not right. And so if you chose wrong, you know why you chose wrong. And that, what to me was more important than just like memorizing something. It's like, okay, the reason why I chose this answer is because this. And so I did end up passing it. Again, I just got my results. I ended up passing it. I took the second exam it was in late February, and I got my exam results back that I did pass the exam the second time around. Thank you, God. And I think a lot of it had to do with 2 things. Number one, I wasn't sick. I got sick again, by the way, the test anxiety came back. So I got sick for the second exam. I got sick, like, same thing, like a week before my exam. But this time I went to the doctor, the urgent care. And I was like, I have a huge exam next week. I can't be sick, but I always get sick. So give me something for whatever it is. It's usually like my allergies or something. So they gave me something and I started to get better. And I was like, okay, cool. I actually had a good night's rest. I was able to fully prepare for the exam without feeling bogged down with the exam. Like, I didn't feel stressed out because the way that she does it, again, you can live your life still. You can still do other things while you're studying for the exam. The closer it got to the exam, I remember like doing my mock exams and then listening to the audio about, the reviewing the mock exams, doing another mock exam, and then reviewing it. And she'll give you feedback both times. And there's only 2 full mock exams for her because she doesn't believe you need 10. She thinks that's actually counterproductive. Okay, y'all, so I did this whole video and my sound went out, and as you can see, I'm in different clothes. It's a different day. I didn't have time for it. So I was just like, I'll get back to that later. So I'm back, and I want to just finish off by saying that the main thing that I want you guys to remember is you have to know how well you work in certain settings. So the reason why I like, again, the Therapist Development Center a little bit better is because, number one, she understands how people think and take tests. And looking back on all the tests, the mock tests that I took through the AATBS program, I do think it was a little bit of overkill. But, that was what I used at that time, and I did the best I could. A lot of the resources that you got from AATBS, I did not even use them. I only used the mock exams, but I used literally everything the Therapist Development Center gave, from the schedule to the mock exams to all the lectures to all the quick studies. They have these, she also gave you quick study guides that you can look over, and she'll tell you, you don't need to memorize all this stuff. Nobody told me that at AATB. I was like, oh my God, I got so many things to memorize, and some stuff you do need to memorize, but it was helpful. And another thing that I really loved is the DSM quick guide and lecture. She has a lecture series on the DSM, the marriage and family systems, and like kind of differentiating between each other, how to know if you're looking at this diagnosis versus this diagnosis, like the primary things to look for. All of that I thoroughly love. And you can actually like download the quick study guides and print them off and like that. You can't really download the stuff off of AATBS. So again, that's the reason why I love the Therapist Guide. If I do it all over again, I would stick with the Therapist Development Center for the Marriage and Family Exam. If there's a specific question that you have, just reach out to me. I hope I can help. But yeah, I just wanted to share my journey on finally passing the Marriage and Family Exam. All right, guys, have a good one. And like I said, good luck to all you guys that are in grad school. Good luck to you guys that are out of grad school. You're on your next step. Like, keep going. It's going to be okay.